Today I'm gonna show you guys how to make bank in this game without really using glitches. The grind is actually pretty real, unfortunately, but there is some easier methods than a lot others. And I figure with the new game coming out for new consoles, well, not new game, the re-release for the game coming out for new consoles, uh, it'd be a good time to actually make this video considering all the stuff that's in the game. So, if you go over here, you have to get a high-end apartment. Any high-end will have this room. It has the original heists. They're not great at making money. They're really not. Um, Basically what they do is allow you to play the game with friends and do missions. Uh, you don't really make a lot. I think you make like a couple $100,000. There are other heists that have been introduced later in the game that you make more with. And I figure we'll get to that later, but I wanted to make sure I get this because I didn't get this in the last video I tried to do for this. Next up is the CEO offices. Now, those are actually quite interesting because while they are a bit grindy, they are still some of the top money-making things in this game. And they have yet to really been beaten by anything in like the same category. So getting an office is a must, especially for beginning game. Like new players, getting the office should be like one of the first things you do. Mainly for the vehicle warehouse, which we'll get to soon. But I have the most expensive one. There are 4 on the map, different locations. I think one's like 500. Wow, like $500,000. So they can be pretty cheap. I think it might be 500,000 if it's on sale, but I could be wrong about that. So if you go here, cutscene for the elevator. Go in here. The more money you have, the more money shows up in your office. Like, my office is loaded with just cash everywhere and random shit. So I'm not giving around when I say this is a pretty useful way to make money. You go to your computer and log in. There's the special cargo. Now, these special cargo, probably the best way to make money in the game, but it's the most grind-intensive way to make money in the game. Each large warehouse will make you $2.2 million. And I have 4, so that's $8.8 million when they're all full. Now, I say when they're all full because if you look up here somewhere, I believe it shows you right here. That's how many crates I need to get to fill up all my warehouses. 486. Now, the reason why these haven't been matched is because while this seems like a lot, it's only like 37 missions to fill up each large warehouse because you can get 3 at a time. While the Hangar, you have to do 50 missions solo to get $1 million. You do 37 here, you make 2.2. Now, if you're doing the Hangar with friends, you can get multiple crates, but if you're trying to grind this solo, this is the warehouse you want to work with. I have a medium one here, but that's just for the special items that you occasionally get, because I don't like filling these with them. It just clutters the space. So, that's why I have the medium one right here. If you go to the warehouse map, you can actually see where all the warehouses are. And I bought these 5 because they're all in the same general facility of each other. So I would park like a terabyte right here-ish, somewhere in between these 3. So I could just grind one after another because there's a timer after every mission. So I would start with like this one, go to the terabyte, then do this one, then do this one, and so on. That way, by the time to the final one, the first one is definitely done. I can just continue that. It is a grind, I will say that, and it has burnt me out on a time or two. A vehicle cargo. we'll get to later in more detail, but this is probably the fastest way to make money in the beginning of the game. You can source a car for free and then sell the car, and if it's a top tier car, it would make $100,000. So you can just do that. There is now a time limit for selling, which kind of sucks because you used to just be able to like spam it, but I think it's like 15, 20 minutes, maybe 30 each time you sell. Like when I bought my first vehicle warehouse, I made the money back within a day. There's a couple places you can get them. A lot of people typically get this one right here because it's the cheapest. But that just leads to a whole other mess of difficulties, which we'll get to later. I moved mine to this one right here because it has an open area in the front, which, if you use the cargo bob for these missions, gives you a landing area for it that makes your life a hell of a lot easier than, say, here where there's a bunch of gang members that will shoot you if you get too close. So, advice, don't go for the cheapest one unless you're just strapped for cash. Like, location is key with this warehouse, especially since vehicles, you lose money if they take damage. Like, I would probably go with this one or this one up here. But I personally prefer this because this has a parking lot that kind of like divots in. So I don't want to damage the car too much by trying to get into that divot. And I like the open area in this, as I said before. So I'm not going to get into special vehicle work. It's kind of like those missions you can do outside of story mode. I'm not the biggest fan of those. Contact missions, those things. Retire because I don't want to get raided. This trophy right here, by the way, the more crate missions you do, the different colors it gets. I believe it has 5. I think like at 1,000 it becomes gold, and that's the one I have because I've done an insane amount of these. And yeah, that's kind of a trophy you get for doing this. So pretty cool. I'm gonna go now show you the vehicle garage. Exit to ground. Because there is a couple tricks with that you want to pay attention to when doing it. Because it can make you probably the most money fastest without having to be like waiting for it. And there is a workaround with it. Not really a workaround at the time, but a workaround of making sure you always get top tier cars. And that is what I wanted to show. So, I'm not going to my vehicle warehouse first. I am going to show you what I mean by this area isn't always the best area for people. So, sticky bombs have a meter where if you get too far, they disappear. Proxy bombs don't. They really don't. So, you see how this parking lot kind of divots in and goes into the building? Well, if you throw a proxy bomb right here, any car that's driving into this warehouse will now get hit by that proxy bomb when delivering a car to their warehouse. So it kind of becomes a trap that you can place if you notice what they're doing. And since most players typically get this warehouse, you can basically guarantee they're coming here and just trap it and get some kills. So that is something you want to look out for. It's why I also didn't choose the most expensive one, because that one also has this divot too. So be careful when picking your warehouse, because there is things like this, and there's players like this, because I am one of them. So, just wanted to point that out. This is why I moved my warehouse, because I am a dick sometimes in this game. Now, what I just did, you don't always have to go to ammunition. The only time you should really ever go there is to buy armor. There's no real point in buying ammo there unless you're trying to get a new gun. But if you go to the inventory menu and just go to ammo, you can buy all your ammo from this interaction menu. Besides like explosive rounds and everything like that. So it comes in handy. Like, armor is useful for heists and combat, but I got real sick and tired of going to ammunition, so finding that out was a lifesaver. So this is my vehicle warehouse. As you can see, there's that open field there that I talked about, where you can land a cargo bob and drop the vehicle to just drive it straight into the warehouse. You don't have many customized options when it comes to the warehouse, unfortunately. Like, I don't really like any of them, but the most expensive one has a better office layout when it comes to painting of the walls, so I like it better. But I like the graffiti of the actual warehouse itself, which kind of sucks, so you kind of have to choose which one you prefer. Considering I'm always in this office when I'm using this warehouse, I chose the most expensive one. Okay, so in this is a menu of different type of cars. There's 10 standard, 10 mid, and I believe 12 top range. Yeah, 12 top range. Now, the vehicle warehouse will only give you one of each car until you get them all. That's how many there are. So there's 32 different types of cars you can get. 10, 10, 12. So once you get all 32, say you source the export the X80 Proto, and then go to source another vehicle. The vehicle you're going to get is the X80 Proto. So you can basically always guarantee yourself a top range car just by getting all 10 standard and mid range. But if you're a collection dealer, what you could do is get all 32 cars, export, say, the X80 Proto that has a different plate than you're looking for, to try to get the X80 Proto with the plate you're looking for the collection. Now, I don't really get all the collections. I typically go for the top one and the bottom one, because those are the only two that only have top range cars, so you're guaranteed to make more money. But that is how you can beat the collections and kind of cheese it a little, because the game won't give you extra cars after before you get all 32. So as long as you keep it about like at 80%, I believe, by getting these 32 cars, by sourcing one, you will always get the one you're looking for next time you source the car. So I think that's really cool. It's a neat thing. Not many people actually are aware of that. Once you start playing, you will be. But it's one of those things that I wish I knew at the beginning of the game, because it was a grind at the beginning, and I had no idea that was a thing. Next up is the MC businesses, and those are probably some of my favorite businesses in the game, because they are a passive way to make money. Now, there's 5 businesses when it comes to the MC business. There's forged documents, trash. There's weed, which I only really keep open when it's double money, because it makes a decent amount when it's double. Otherwise, it doesn't really make too much. I keep the cash, meth, and coke open, though, because the combined total of those is $1 million. Like a little over, I believe. So having that is like $1 million a day if you're on most of the day. I used to play this daily, so a lot of the times I would sell my drugs once per day, and that just stacks up on money. And the only thing you really have to worry about those businesses is the equipment upgrades. Like, the businesses themselves, I don't think cost a lot of money. I think it's the upgrades that cost more than the business itself, though. Because you have to get the staff, the security, the equipment, and I think that's going to be like $1.8 million right there for each one. If not a little more. So this computer here is how you buy the businesses to start off. There's multiple MC warehouses you can get. Well, MC clubhouses. And you go in here, and this is how you get them. If you go to buy businesses, you can see the different ones there are. Each category has their own ones. Never get anything Paleto Bay. I wouldn't suggest getting anything in the city. They're more expensive, and selling into the country is just longer of a process because there's more of the country than there's the city. And selling from the country to the city, though, you're also better protected when it comes to vehicles attacking you because there's the corners and everything. You're not in an open area. So that is why I typically have like all my businesses in the Sandy Shores area, the Great Sonora Desert, and just in this area. Because by doing this, I just do them in a straight line one by one, and they all sell to the city without having that long-ass trip going, like, potentially up to Paleto Bay. So, we'll get to showing you that later, because I have to show you the bunker. And I'm actually doing that now, but that's my main tip of locations. Get them in the Grand Sonora Desert, that like the middle of the map, and always sell to the furthest one. You make more that way. Like, I have friends who do businesses in the city, and they fucking hate the travel that sometimes brings you all the way up to Paleto Bay. So, definitely be aware of where you put your business, because those sell missions can get annoying, especially since they took out bags, which was like the best and quickest sell mission they had. So now postage trucks are like so much more common. Sucks. It really does. Okay. So it's a bit of a hike, but again, it's well worth getting the businesses up here than it is in the city. So we have the coke that's right here. Then the meth, which is down the street. The cash, then the meth, then the coke's right up the street. The weed is right over there, and the forged documents is there. I only bought the forged documents because I wanted the little knickknacks in the clubhouse. It doesn't make you much. I believe it makes 120,000, and if you buy supplies, which is what I'm going to suggest you do, you only make $30,000 from it, so it's not profitable, like, at all. You could just do like a stand your ground and make that money. So when it comes to these businesses, this is the computer. It's in like at the same spot. Well, not the same spot, but it's on a table in every place, so it's kind of the same thing. You resupply, you do a mission. The missions are kind of a grind, which is why I say just buy them, because I think you only get one or potentially two bars whenever you fill up steel supplies. Unless you're doing it with a team, then you can occasionally get 3 or 4. But it's just not really worth it. You could get more done by just buying supplies and letting it fill. Especially once you get the bunker. Like, your drugs will basically make sure your bunker's always full to get the $1 million payout. The upgrades, you can see how much they cost. There's like, this one, well, it's half off, so, for this. So this is normally like 90,000. This is normally like 300,000. And this is normally like, that's more than the staff, holy shit. But, you can see how this can get expensive. Like, this is probably more expensive, even half off, than the building itself. So, the security upgrades, though. I have friends who don't really see the point in getting them. Like, it's supposed to help you get rated less, but you still get rated. And I've had friends who didn't even bother getting the security, but still decided to try to keep on going. And they did a really good job not getting rated. So it could just be cosmetics, but I don't really know. Like, I don't think it's just cosmetics. Like, I know when it comes to the coke, it adds a cage, so it could be cosmetics. We're gonna miss the bunker real quick because the facility is closer. The facility itself is where heist kind of evolved. Instead of making you a little money, you can basically make $1 million by doing some of these heists. There's 3 in total. They are setting up this heist is harder than the heist itself. I do not recommend doing this as an easy way to make money unless, like, not if you're... There's glitches for it where you can just repeat it, but I'm trying to make a video without glitches. So, I would not suggest actually doing this as a foolproof way to make money. Like, there's other ways to do it that are easier. This is where your Avenger goes. It's where the tank and jetpack can go. I don't know why this is here. It's useless. This dude right here will give you free snacks, like your assistant in your office, which is pretty nice. And then, as you do the heist, you get little trophies that show up around the building, like this landmine, that, later this giant eagle that's over here. I think it's an eagle. This is the room to do the heist. Now, this is actually a tip for the game. Say you start up a heist. Like any one of these heists, you don't even have to like work on the heist. You just have to start it up initially. Whenever you CEO up or MC up, Lester's going to give you a text asking if you would like to continue the heist. And using that text will cause you to fast travel to this building. So that is a good way to fast travel in the game. It's like one of the only 2 ways to do it. And that is how you do that. This is the Obliteration Cannon. Great little tool here. Kind of OP. But definitely something you might want to look into investing in. It can get you like a kill anywhere on the map. And I hate it. I don't like using it. It's expensive. And I only really use it if I'm trying to mess with people. And even when I do, I'd rather just get the kill normally instead of having to rely on it. Anything else in here? No. So, next up's the bunker. And the bunker's probably my favorite business there is. Now, I started playing when like the CEO offices just became a thing. And I stopped playing for a while, but started to play again when the bunker was introduced. And the bunker will make you $1 million once fully upgraded. And it's probably the best passive business there is because of that. Now, while your drugs typically can take like a day to fill up, the bunker typically takes 2. So you would make about $3 million every 2 days. Just with those 3 drug businesses, the cash, coke, and meth, and this open. So that right there is how I make a decent amount of money every 3 days if I'm on. I haven't been on too much, so it's why my bunker's still full. I'm going to make a list of how many people you need to actually do the cell missions when we actually review everything. But till then, the bunker is like this underground weapons thing. It's like a bat cave, but it is a bat cave. So if you go all the way over here and turn this way, there's a computer over here, and it's basically set up the same way your drugs are. You go into this, you have to CEO up an MC. Unlike the MC businesses, this can be done with either. Your team will make more money if you MC up doing the cell missions, though. So always MC up when selling. We supply a bicep steel. You can do research on this, and this will get you stuff like the explosive rounds, different guns, different weapons on vehicles, shit like that. Manage staff, you can set them to like do only research or manufacturing or both. I typically had them on both until it was full, then I switched it to just research to try to boost that a little faster. Selling further, again, makes you the most money, $1.05 million. Like, that is an insane chunk of change. The upgrades are costly for this. I believe they are closer to the $1 million mark for these two, and then, like, maybe 500,000 for this. So, this is one of those things, like, after you get the office and the vehicle warehouse, this should probably be, like, the first thing you get. Simply because this will help you make a decent amount of money passively. Like, the bunker is the way to go. Like, the drug businesses are quick, but they're time consuming. This is a bit slower, but definitely will help you make $1 million quick, so you can actually upgrade those businesses and keep them going and actually get the ones you're looking for. Like, they may be cheap to start off with, but the bunker is like the way to actually go. I hate this suppressor. The bunker is the way to actually go about getting like the money. Okay, so we got the facility. Next up's the hangar. Now, we talked briefly about the hangar earlier, and I really don't like the hangar. I feel it's a big waste of time, and the only real effort, like, benefit you kind of have with it is you can store vehicles and now summon them as, like, personal vehicles. But other than that, like, as a business, kind of sucks. Like, as I said before, I believe the large warehouse only takes 37 missions to do solo. The hangar, if you're doing it solo, you need to do it 50 times to get $1 million, while the large warehouse will get you 2.2. So, you're not only spending more time doing this, you're making less. Like, I don't find the relevancy of the hangar as a business whatsoever. I believe it's why, in my last video, I said just go to Walmart. You can get a hangar for like $2 and you use it more. So, but it is a business and we have to review it. So, this is the hangar. I would always suggest getting it in the military base because it will give you access to the military base. It is a bit more expensive than getting it at the other place. But having access to this without getting stars is also a really fun thing to have. As you can see, you can store your helicopters and planes here. Right here is where the crates go. The stairs are a bit wibbly wobbly, so sometimes I get caught on them. Surprisingly, I didn't. This is your office. You go in here. We have the CEO up again. Always CEO up in the business, by the way. If you CEO up outside, you're going to risk getting raided, and that's something you kind of want to avoid so you don't lose product. As you can see, I haven't really done this that much. I've sold this 5 times, and I've made $8.1 million. So if you go to source, medical supplies are the ones I typically go for because they're one of the ones that sell for the most. And when I originally got this, I thought the hangar, you could fill up 50 of each thing. So I thought this would make you so much money. No. You can only have 50 stock. So it's really shit. And I hate it. So I do not recommend getting this in the early game. Probably when you have the money to blow is when you should get this, but not when you're actually like trying to grind to get to a decent place. Like, it's not worth it, in my opinion. It really isn't. Like, the missions are somewhat fun, but it's just, you can be better off doing something else. So we got the hangar, we got the bunker, we got the facility, we got the drugs. I believe the next thing is the nightclub? Yeah. The nightclub is so far the last passive business GT has added to the game. It's technically better than the bunker, but as I said, the bunker could technically fill in 2 days. If you're not doing the business battles and everything for the nightclub, it would take about a week to hit the mark where you want to actually sell it. So I don't really see it being a decent way to make money. Especially since if you want to make a decent chunk of change with the nightclub, you need to have 5 businesses open. This is why I would also say just screw the weed and forged documents. Keep the cash, coke, meth open. Get the bunker. And get a warehouse. And then you will have all 5 businesses you need open to make about $1.7 million from the nightclub. That was a poll. Man, I am just having struggles. Okay. So if you go over here, I always go in through this entrance. It saves time without having to go through the whole dance floor. So there's actually something I'm going to show you here that's going to combine with the arcade. But it's just we're here. So again, you pay for location, but the most expensive nightclub there is actually has a sign with a dude pointing at his crotch saying "smell the part." So I wasn't the biggest fan of having that location, so I moved. And now I have a billboard, and the billboard actually shows like what's the difference on the top. It's like you pay more for like the same product. And that's basically that. This one, and it's actually more convenient to be here than most other places time-wise when doing the missions, which I think is pretty nice. So that is why I chose this location. Okay, so CEO up MC, go into the computer. This is your home. Shows you your nightclub's popularity, how much you made from the warehouse earnings to the nightclub earnings. If you go here, this shows you your popularity thing. Never promote your club. There's a quicker way to do it. You don't have to do it. So if you go to Resident DJ, every time you rebook an artist, your popularity bar goes up by half a bar. So in the arcade, you can actually skip the annoying cutscene. Like I'm going to show you. See the popularity bar, how it's not really full? We're going to just rebook this DJ. It's $10,000, whatever. So there's this cutscene here. In the nightclub, you could do this same thing in the computer, but skip this cutscene. And that cutscene will save, not having it will save some time. And your popularity bar will just go up. It's always going to cost you $10,000 every time you switch a DJ. But if you pay attention to it on top of it, it shouldn't cost you like more than like $30,000 to completely fill the popularity of your nightclub. And you basically make that back doing a yacht prevention or stand your ground. So you never have to do those promote missions. Ever. And while, yeah, it saves you some money, it also wastes your time doing missions that you can just avoid. Which is why I wanted to show you that. Because that cutscene's annoying. And doing that walk's a bitch. But as you can see, the popularity bar is now full. Warehouse management. You have 5 technicians. Now, you can only have 5. Which is why I say don't even bother with weed and forged documents. Even when you're trying to keep them open, you still can't even use them for this. Warehouses, bunker, coke, meth, and cash are like the 5 I have assigned and the 5 I typically always have open. Sell, when you sell all goods, it only sell your nightclub when it's at $1.1 million. And the reason why is anything over $1 million, he only takes $100,000 because he only takes 10%, but it stops at $1 million. So say you make 1.7, he's not going to take 10% of 1.7. He's going to take 10% of $1 million. So if you sell at 1.1, you're making a solid $1 million every time. That is what I would say to sell. Otherwise, I don't really see the point in keeping this open too much. So it's why I always sell it at 1.1 or higher. Upgrades, same thing as the weeding bunker or the coking bunker or whatever business you want to compare it to. Security staff equipment. Security, this is where I'm starting to believe security is just cosmetics. Because your nightclub never gets raided. Yeah. So I don't know what the security upgrade does in this game. At all. Like, not for this. Like, if this is what security is for each thing, then it is strictly cosmetics. And I don't know the point of it. So, I still get it as a just in case. Better to be safe than sorry. But, like I said, your nightclub never gets raided. So what's the point of security? Okay, next up is the casino, which is a heist of itself later on in the game. So we're gonna go in here. There's someone right here. I hope he doesn't actually try to kill me. I don't think he will. But the casino is actually pretty fun. The penthouse, you kind of just need to access places. And because it doesn't really have access to anything else, it's not really a place I spawn too much. Looks nice. Never gonna spawn there, though. You can get a vehicle by spinning the wheel occasionally. The store requires casino coins. You can buy them, like some at the cashier. Little fun fact about the cashier, if you actually go here. Right on the D-pad. You can either buy chips or get the visitor bonus, which gives you just 1,000. Pretty useful. Demon! Why? Okay, we're gonna have to fix my vehicle.
Take advantage of our luxury valet, limousine, and helicopter services. Morse Mutual Insurance. How can we help you?
Clips, oppressor. We'll have to do that later. But this is the wheel. I'm very doubtful I'm actually going to win the vehicle. But there's a chance to win the vehicle. I don't even want the vehicle, so if I win, I'm just going to have to sell it. Don't be chips. Chips. You can play mini games with your friends, especially when you're trying to like wait for shit to fill, which I think is pretty nice. Yeah, there's really not a lot here though when it comes to actually making a decent amount of money, which kind of sucks. But it is something you can do to like pass the time while waiting for shit to fill. But once you get the arcade, the casino now becomes pretty fun, actually. Can we call this, or we don't have an active vehicle? You know what? Fuck it. We're just gonna MC up. As an MC, you can technically call a bike to your location anywhere you are. The oppressor does have a time limit. The MK2 oppressor has a time limit. But the time limit is simply because people would constantly spam it and be a dick with it. The MK1 does not have that time limit though. And it's actually pretty fun to drive. So, MK1's pretty useful. Whenever your wheels touch the ground, you gain your boost back. So that's pretty fun. Like, if you get decent with it, you can technically like fly around on buildings and just land the wheels on a building to get the boost and continue boosting up it. I've gotten up these big towers with this thing. I felt like Spider-Man on a motorcycle with it. So that was pretty cool. This is the arcade. This is probably my favorite business they've added, even though it makes you nothing. Now, the reason why I say it makes you nothing is because passively it makes you $50,000 every so often. But that's kind of like how the nightclub makes you passive money, like in the vault. Here though, it's not really used for anything much besides the heist board, which is where you rob the casino. This heist, hell of a lot more fun than Doomsday. A lot easier to set up. I'd always recommend doing this heist instead of the others, because you can make a decent chunk of change with it. And it has this computer here. Get this computer when you get the arcade, because you can manage all the businesses that are in the game from this individual computer. So, as you can see, we have the vehicle storage, we have the special cargo, the air freight cargo, your drugs, the bunker, like everything you need is in this building. So, if you actually, like, as I said, you can go here and switch the DJs, and my popularity doesn't even need to go up, but there's no cutscene. So, that is why I like that. You can sell from here, but the vehicles don't actually spawn at this building. They spawn at the bunker or the drugs, so it's not really a benefit to sell in this place. But it is pretty useful having access to resupplying everything from this one central location. I am a big fan of the arcade. It is one of my favorite things they've added to the game in a very long time. Like, I wasn't the biggest fan of the casino. I wasn't the biggest fan of the nightclub, even though it is a passive way to make money. I wasn't a fan of Arena Wars whatsoever, which we'll get to. Now, actually, we're heading to Arena Wars. So, this Arena Wars DLC is a big waste of time and money. I had $100 million when this DLC came out. Because of how they actually implemented this, I had $50 million by the time I bought everything. Because I absolutely hate those contact missions that they make you do. Like, I hate them. I hate things that take me out of the story mode. So, not the story, but like, the online story mode. So, everything in here brings you to like a stupid mission that you have to do. And I hate it. So, I never actually did the missions to unlock the upgrades, which means everything costs more. Yeah. Like, the vehicles that you can get cost more because you don't have the discount on them. The upgrades you get cost more because you don't have the discount on them. The only benefit this thing has for a player who's sticking to like the online mode, not doing contact missions, is the fact you can get custom headlights in this building, which you can actually now get at one of the new DLCs for the like underground racing shit. So you don't even need that. Like, I would not suggest getting this at all unless you're a fan of those contact missions they do, because it's just a waste of time. Like, it really is. Like, it's a waste of time and money, and I wish I never bought this, and I can't even sell it. Like, the only time I ever bring a car here is to give it different colored headlights. It really sucks. Now, I don't know too much about, like, the underground LS car meet thing, so I'm not even going to pretend like I know everything there is to know about it. But I do know some stuff. I actually really enjoy this DLC. I'm not a big fan of, again, the contact missions, so I'm not going to be doing those to level up my person. But I have, like, done the test racing and just fucked around with friends in the test room. That's pretty fun. The headlights you can actually get at the custom garage that's in here, too. So, Sorry about that. So this is the building. It's the same building for everyone. But once you actually start doing this, I would suggest making an outfit with a single piece of clothing you can get from the store in here. Because while you're in here, you will get experience to like level up your character and everything. So it's a good place to like go AFK if you want to try to. Where is it? Undead, Doomsday, Stealth, Biker, Normal, Punk, Suit, Street. If you want to just like chill in here and let that bar fill up for a while. There's the store that's right here. There's a couple other things in here. I didn't bring a card, but this is also where you can get some tattoos. You can customize your car in the workshop that's in here. Again, that will also allow you to get experience for it. You can test drive cars, which I think is pretty nice. And you can occasionally win a car. This is where you customize them, pull them in. You give them the custom headlights here, which, again, amazing. Means you don't even have to get Arena Wars, which means there's a loophole around actually spending the money on that shit. I actually really like the cars they added into the game. I also like the fact they added like a new set of like mini heists. And those cars are the only cars you can actually use in that. How do I get out of here? This way? Yes. So, I think the last thing I have to show is actually the new thing they added, the LS car meet, the garage that you can get. Now, I really like the cars they've added. Like, I really like them. They look nice. They also handle really well. That was a sign. But it's one of those things in which I don't think I'm going to use a lot, even though there is a decent amount of money in using it. And the reason I say that is very simple. While the heists are easy to set up, the heists themselves feel like they need to be done with multiple people because they are a bit too challenging. That said, they can be done solo, as I've done each one solo. But doing them solo, again, like, they feel a bit too challenging to do on your own, if you get what I'm saying. Like, it feels like it should be done with multiple people, and that's what they want you to do them with, not doing them solo. Also to show you a submarine. I forgot about that. That brings you to the island in Cayo Perico, and Cayo Perico is actually a heist I really do enjoy, and it's probably my favorite heist in the game by now. So, that is going to be the last thing I show. This is the garage. You get these cars you can customize for like passive money. Pretty useful. You have the little slot for cars down here. And then if you go up here, there's this board. Now this board randomizes every once in a while, so you're never going to have the same things set up every time. Some pay more than others, some pay less than others. Now I can say I've done every mission that they have so far once. And that's how much money I made down there, $1.4 million. They typically only give you about that little less than like $300,000 each one. So, they're fun. They're probably pretty good to do for resupply money. But, I've done them solo. And the challenge rating for them is a bit too much for a solo person to do. Like, comfortably every time. So I don't really recommend doing those as like a grind method. Unless you're trying to get like better combat wise, which I guess you could. But like I have a I believe it's 5 point something. Yeah, 5.89 KD, and I still sometimes struggle with them. So, I'm not really a big fan of that. Like, Cairo Perico, you can do solo and make $1 million. A lot easier than doing, like, those heists. The casino you have to do with at least one other person, and I consider that easier than those heists. So it's one of those things in which there are easier ways to make money, basically. So while we're over here, as you can see, I own a yacht. The yacht is the biggest waste of $10 million I've ever put into this game, and it's literally just for decoration. There's no real point in owning a yacht. That said, you could do a piracy prevention on it, and if you do that with friends, you can actually, say you have 4 friends doing the piracy prevention with you. Each of the friends can give the money they got to one of the people, so that person can make like $120,000 just for sitting in a hot tub, because it pays 30 grand. And then if like you have multiple friends who have yachts, you can just spam that, and in 40 minutes each person makes $120,000. Vehicles, return to storage. So this is the Kosaka. This Kosaka is what you need to do the heist for Cairo Perico. It's my favorite heist they've added into the game. I believe I said that already, but whatever. If you go in here, this is where you set up the thing. There's not really much in here, but it can get kind of confusing. So this is the room. This is where you set up the heist right here. Now, what I wanted to actually show in here is the garage they have. Now, if you go back here, you have like this helicopter. Get this helicopter when you get the Kosaka, because you can actually call it to your location very easily, kind of like the MC bikes. So it's very useful to have that. And if you go down here, you get a submarine and a submarine, but I have never used this since I've bought it. So I don't even know why I have it. This, though, is honestly one of my favorite vehicles they've added into the game. Now, it's not only a submarine car. It has boosts, it can drive on land, shoots homing missiles, and can take some missiles. Like, this is everything I wanted, like, the Batmobile when they added that, the Vigilante into the game to be. But it never turned out like that. Like, this car itself is, like, the answer to the Oppressor, because it can actually take a missile. So, if you see an Oppressor coming, you can just try to, like, charge it. It hits you with a missile, you hit it with a missile. You live, it dies. And that's why I love it. Like, they've needed an answer to the Oppressor for a very long time in this game, and you finally got one. And it's great. Cost a lot of money. It's like $3 million to get this car, but it is well worth the money. Handles really well. It kind of is like the Oppressor MK1, where as long as the wheels touch the ground, your boost continues, which is nice. So you just go like this, and then it starts to recharge once it ends, as long as your wheels are touching the ground. And with that, I think we've actually covered everything. We got all the businesses, I believe. We got all the heists. We got all the random shit. And actually, no, there's one last thing. So, at the beginning of this video, I actually showed you the very first heist in the game. And later on, I showed you the trick with Doomsday to fast travel. That trick can be used for the very first heist in the game, too. But unlike the Doomsday one, you don't have to see your upper MC. You just go in, and Lester should have sent you a text at some point, which he actually hasn't, which is weird. I don't know why Lester hasn't. Hold on. See, that's the Doomsday one right there. But usually, Lester will send you a text message saying, yeah, would you want to fast travel to your apartment? And it will lead you to the apartment that you have the heist set up in. So I don't know why that's not showing up. I was paying attention to the phone, not the game. That tree came out of nowhere. It's like, good. But, yeah. I have to actually look into that. Anyways, just set up the heist in the... Actually, we're just going to end there, because I want to figure that out. Like, did I accidentally cancel that heist? Do-do-do. Most neutral.
MMI, we expect the unexpected. I think we can do that.
Okay. So, let's just double check. Yeah, there's no Lester. Fuck. I might have canceled this. I don't think I did. But, basically, I would suggest just doing the original heist where you get the Kuruma. You don't even have to do the missions for it. Just have it set up. And whenever you get into the lobby or whenever you finish a mission, Lester will just hit you up being like, yo, do you want to continue doing this heist? And that text message would be on your phone. Yeah, I have this set up still. So it should be there. I don't know why it's not. But that is officially everything. So we are actually going to call this a stream. And I am going to be really happy with how this came out. Because last time I tried this, I messed up a bunch of times. So anyways, peace.